3. Hit it!
Welcome to Gab and
Jam,
episode 48.
Yeah.
This episode piggybacks off of our episode 45, which asked, "Is the music of today worse than ever?" And then episode 46, which asked if it's great to steal stuff, steal songs,
steal my song,
steal my stuff, steal my songs.
Affirmative ask,
right,
or request,
right.
Steal my song.
So this one, episode 48, asks, how much of a song should an artist be allowed to sample?
So in the glory years of hip hop, especially, a lot of the greatest hip hop records made in, let's say, late 80s, early 90s, that period of time, used a lot of sampling.
Think Dr. Dre, NWA.
Yeah, straight out of Compton.
Yeah.
I mean, just an awesome cacophony of samples. And I almost saw them as like collages, of just music as opposed to pictures. And so within that framework, it kind of, to me, musically created something different as far as art goes. However, when you got certain songs, something like You Can't Touch This by MC Hammer, or even like a remix of SWV's Right Here, which borrowed from Human Nature, and then MC Hammer borrowed from Rick James' Super Freak, where the song is very reliant on that sample, to the extent that if you take the sample away, there's really no song.
Right.
You start really saying, maybe the artist who created the original work, not just the artist. I mean, if this was just about the artist, I don't know if we would have saw the shutdown on sampling, as much as you always got to remember, with respect to a song, there's always two copyrights, one in the composition itself and one in the sound recording. Sound recording is the master. When you start talking about, Ray Charles owning his own master, that is the actual recording that comes out. So the recording of Super Freak belonged to like Motown Records. That's what that copyright belongs to. So you were violating two copyrights through sampling. Where you made a copy and you were violating the copyright of the composition, meaning the composer's copyright, and then also the copyright of the record company. That's why I got shut down. Right? All right, so done with that part of it. So now we start thinking about what's really justified, okay? So when it comes to sampling, most people probably do this to this day, and that is, you hear a nice sound, a nice snare drum, bass drum on a record, and you sample just that sound, snare drum. Is that too much, right? I don't think that's been an issue. However, the issue becomes if you take a certain bar of a record and someone can kind of hear that that's where it comes from, to the extent that, you've used that for your record. And of course, it's meant to be part of the musical composition. And technically, you have created what is called under copyright law a derivative work. Question is, should you have to pay for that? Especially if it's just a small snippet of it, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know the answer to that question.
Really?
That's one of those type of things. That's why I'm asking the question. I'm asking the question if this is really supposed to be a forum, and we feel like it is a forum, in which we kind of banter things back and forth, and we really do encourage input from the people who are watching, listening to what we're saying on these things. Is that it's really meant to create the conversation. Where does the copyright holder's right become a bit oppressive and starts to restrict the ability to create new art.
Okay.
And new art in different ways than what we thought about it before. Like I was saying before, when we go back to the early, late 80s, early 90s, and we think about those hip hop records where they were creating these collages of sound, we were seeing for us, I think, the creation of almost really a new artwork.
Yeah.
You know, within the musical framework. And so the issue becomes, once we kind of shut that down,
and now we got the
we've
whisper
taken that
song.
away. And you really did force these guys to use samples that were already cleared, or to make sure that they got clearance. And they get to a point where they can't use as many samples, so a lot of times they won't be as creative maybe as they could be.
Right.
If they could use more samples. The question becomes that, to what extent do we want to encourage this work to keep going forward? And I know a lot of people say, well, just pick up a damn instrument, right? I mean, I think that's, learn how to freaking play your damn instrument. You wouldn't have that damn problem.
Right.
And I get it. I understand that
or they're making songs to metronomes. We know that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, they are. But again,
that goes, and that's it.
That goes back to, not picking up a damn instrument, and again, and we need to understand that we're at a point where I don't know if that's really going to happen the way it used to happen. I just don't know if we're going to have kids picking up guitars, basses, keyboards.
You barely have music in school at all.
Right.
So.
Well, even outside of just music in school, I mean, a lot of times where the inspiration comes from, I know what inspired me was hearing the radio. So I heard what was on the radio. I didn't even know there was music in school. So I mean, I had no clue about music.
Yeah, but don't they all feed each other? The fact that it's around you everywhere you go, like you said, it's in the neighborhood, it's on the radio, it's at school. When you get there, you get the opportunity to say, "Hey, I can play an instrument and pick one up."
But I'm saying I already had an interest in music by the time I got to that point where it was like, "Oh, I can do this here."
Right.
You know, and I didn't know about it, but I already had an interest in music. But I did see the Jackson 5. And the Jackson 5, when they presented to me, they were playing instruments.
Yeah, they were.
Now, whether or not they were really playing them on the record is a whole different issue.
Right.
But what I saw were these, young men on television playing instruments. And that let me feel like, okay, that's possible. And so I don't know if that day, especially like, you saw it whether you were rock, R&B, whatever. Yeah. So you black or white, you had people who you could look at and say, okay, I can relate to.
Right.
And I don't know if that day is coming. And so maybe what the day is the day of the DJ and the turntable. And maybe encouraging those DJs to be a little bit more creative with what they do with records and other sound recordings to even create other works. Maybe that's what we need to do to encourage more creativity within, where we're at musically today. And it's understanding the gifts that these particular set of musicians bring to the table versus what they brought yesteryear. Yeah. And understand, I get it. I come from yesteryear, so I understand that. I get the whole thought of it. But how do we creatively, help
the gap?
Yeah, and help to make that landscape more creative, more, by using the gifts that these set of people have. Instead of sitting back when you're older and lamenting about how it was better. Right. And let's just say for old people, look, the music was better when you was young. That was at its heyday. Its tops never has been better than it was then, right? So I give you that, fine. But we got to move on.
Yeah, that's true.
The music still got to move on, and we got to look at what's the best way to do that. And so that's kind of my framework. I don't know where we want to set the limit at, how much we want to pay them. Maybe we pay them a little bit less when they're using certain works. I don't know how you do it. Maybe it becomes very complicated. I don't know, but I think that's something that's open. So, I mean, do we think that a certain amount of sampling should be allowable? A little bit more than just a kick drum and a snare drum or something like that. To allow these people to create, the great works that they were creating in back in the day. So.
All right, so we open it up to you. Please let us know. Do you feel, or how much of a song should an artist be allowed to sample? That is our question. Make sure you drop it in the comments, and we want to hear what you think.
Yep, we really do.
And if you missed episode 45, Music of Today, Is It Worse Than Ever, or episode 46, Steal My Song, go back and check that out.
Yeah.
If you'd like show notes or to find out about older topics or upcoming topics, be sure to subscribe to bloomingprejippie.com/subscribe so that you won't miss anything. We don't want you to miss anything.
Yeah.
And speaking of not missing anything, upcoming South by Southwest Meet Up. What are we going to do at our South by Southwest?
We're going to be doing some of everything at South by South. If I can say it, South by West, Southwest. So
That's right, South by Southwest 2019.
So we'll be doing some of everything. You know, we'll be visiting music stores, we'll be buskering, we'll be having meetups. Yeah, we'll be just doing all kinds of stuff. So that whole week, we intend to completely and thoroughly enjoy exploring
and
sharing everything, and blogging,
yes.
whatever it's called. We will be doing it during South by Southwest week.
If you want us to reserve you a spot at the meetup, make sure you click the link below.
Yep.
Also, upcoming down the line, Sweetwater Gearfest meetup, and London meetup, and details will follow. So if you sign up for the South by Southwest, we'll be sure to get you whatever you need for the other two.
Yes, we will.
And with that,
here's to you.
Here's wishing you love, peace,
and some chicken grease.